These are two really, really smart people that have collectively helped tens of thousands of people over the last 40 years. These two books, the basis of these books are that unprocessed childhood trauma causes pretty much every health thing on the planet. So if you don't deal with your SHIT, nature deals with it because the stress eventually forces you to deal with it.
Hey there, do you want to skip the trial and error in real estate investing? Visit my website, dwanderful.com. I will show you how to do double your income in no time at all. A broke single mom fired from Denny's becomes America's most sought after real estate investor. How does that happen? Well, that's me, Dwan Bent Twyford, aka Dwanderful. But it doesn't stop there. I, along with some amazing guests, are going to teach you everything there is to know about investing. Listen, success is not exclusive. I can teach you, you can have it too. I can share with you. So I want you to join me for season 5 of the most wonderful real estate podcast ever. Cheers. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the most wonderful real estate podcast ever. I am so excited that you're here today. This is my backyard in Florida. So you've been watching me Zoom the last few weeks in the actual yard, but today thought we'd try it and see how it looks as my background. So I'm Dwan Bent Twyford. I'm America's most sought after real estate investor. I'm super excited you're here today. Our motto at Dwanderful is people before profits. So if that resonates with you, you're at the right place. I'm your girl, and I've got your guy today. I have Brad Chandler. He is our wicked smart man. So Brad, how are you today?
I'm awesome, and I love your view from behind you.
Yes, well, that is. I went out just this very morning, took a picture, and I'm like, yeah, I like it.
I'd much rather, you should have invited me to do this podcast live because I'd much rather be there than in cold Virginia.
Well, we can always do another one in a few months and you just come right down and I've got another chair right here next to me and we'll do it live.
Let's do it. Sounds good.
I tell people all the time, hey, if you want to come do one in Florida, I'm totally game to do them live.
Sweet.
All right. So everyone that's watching, you can reach me at Dwanderful.com. So I took my name Dwan and wonderful and I made a new word. And we're going to dive in and talk to Brad. But Brad, first of all, we like to have a toast. So you drinking something? I actually have, what is that?
It's a big old water pitcher.
Oh, I have this new one. Bill got me this. It says wifey.
Love it. What are we toasting?
To you. Thank you for being on the show. Cheers. Everyone that's watching, take a drink. Everybody take a stretch. Wrap yourself and get back in here with us and hang out with us for a little while. And I guarantee that you are going to have a good time. So I feel like kind of the way we do it is we just sort of talk. And we start off, like I said, with a toast. We do a little stretch. And we just want people to feel like they're sitting with us, hanging out, and listening to this amazing conversation.
Love it.
That's kind of the deal. So the first thing I like to do, I'm throwing you straight into the wolves. I want you to tell everybody just in a couple of sentences what you do and how people can reach you. And then I've got some questions. Oh, see, there's my screen. You can't see it. This is why I was worried about using the background. It's like I'm a magician now. Actually, I think I might like that. And we just want to know, what's your deal?
Yeah, what's my deal? Well, before I tell you my deal, I love the freaking people over profits because for 47 years, I put profits over people because I was trying to prove something because I didn't feel worthy. So absolutely love that. We should come back to that. But what's my story?
Real quick, because I'm going to ask you questions.
Okay. Yeah. I own a real estate investment company that does a couple hundred houses a year. It runs without me. And I spend all of my time helping entrepreneurs overcoming limiting beliefs from childhood that they don't even know typically exist that are causing them to have whatever issue they're having in life, their struggles, their bad marriage or eating or drinking or depression or anxiety. And I help them overcome that. And when they do, they get to live a life of freedom and happiness that they deserve.
They do deserve it. And tell everybody how to find you, social media, your website. I want all your info in the beginning of the show notes.
Yeah, bradchandler.com/contact has literally even my cell phone number, my self-love quiz, my podcast, everything can be, all my social links can be found at bradchandler.com/contact.
Okay, that's easy enough. And Chandler is Chandler, Chandler.com/contact. You can't get any easier than that.
Boom.
Boom. So I like your background. Thankful, love. I see your books.
My shirt.
Oh, wait, the only diet that works is self-love. Well, that is true.
I,
I like what you said about people helping them overcome their self-limiting beliefs and stuff like that. And I agree. You and I talked a little bit the other day. I feel like so many people are stuck or maybe don't do things or try things because of the voices in their head, which are usually the naysayers, possibly parents and family members. I feel like don't you feel like a lot of people are just kind of stuck or they don't know they don't know like how do I start a business? Where does my mind need to be? On my life, I've heard, get a job. Like I told you, get a job, work at a factory, get married, have kids, retire when you're 60. It's like, why would I want to do that?
yeah, it's kind of sad how so many people are stuck in jobs they don't like, marriages that they don't like, bodies and fitness and health that they don't like. And it's a pretty simple formula how to get out of it. You have to go back to the source because no one was born with anxiety or depression or workaholism or anything really. They were all learned behaviors through our experiences. So we just go back to those experiences and we figure out what were the meanings that you told yourself that you're still hanging on to today. They served you great as a 6-year-old to get through that tough time, but as a 46-year-old, a 56-year-old, I promise you, they are negatively affecting your relationships, your health, your business success. So yeah, no one has to be stuck. You weren't put in this world to suffer and struggle. I promise.
You said that on the phone the other day that I'm sorry. I think Bill's trying to choke me with my wifey mug. I took like too big of a sip. Now I'm fighting it. You said that the other day, and you said, I think you said something about that worked at 6 doesn't work at 46. And I really liked that. And I wanted you to kind of explain, like, what does that mean? Because I hear people say things all the time, well, what worked then doesn't work now. But you said that the other day, and then you said it again today. And I thought about that. And I thought, what do we do when we're 6? Like, what are we trying to? I don't know. All I remember is just being little. I don't even remember being that age. But what? Give me an example of something there
Yeah.
that's what that affects today.
Yeah, and so there lies the problem, Dwan, and that is if you don't remember it, if you can't recall it, your body and mind always remember it, but if you can't recall it, then you don't know if you want to change a behavior, but you don't know what's changing that behavior, how can you ever change that behavior? You can't. And that's
Right.
kind of that's kind of the magic of what I do. But I'm going to use myself as an example.
Okay.
So I'm 6 years old, I'm 7 years old, I'm 8, however old I am, I'm getting hit with a belt. My dad's hitting me with a belt. My dad's making fun of me. My parents fought all the time. So I've got it. My 6-year-old brain has to come up with a reason. Why is this happening to me? So in my situation, it was I must be bad. I must deserve this punishment because if it's my dad's problem, then I can't control it and I'm screwed. But if I'm bad, all I've got to do is be good and I can get the love that I want from him. So it's my brain giving me a hope for a better tomorrow. So it actually helps you. It helps you survive and put yourself in whatever. Your dad wasn't at all your games or he was absent from your life. Well, he wasn't there because he didn't love me. It's my fault. So if I can just be lovable, he'll love me. So that's how you survive as a child. When you're 46 years old and you've never owned a boat and you're buying a 42-foot boat and you're taking it to the Bahamas and you don't even know how to read a chart, because your subconscious mind is telling you you're still bad and you need to prove yourself. That doesn't serve you. That was my story.
So,
And
like literally, you took a boat to the Bahamas without
I
a.
I didn't even know that the day before I left, I bought a boat, and 60 days later, I'm behind the wheel, cruising towards the Bahamas. The night before, my friend is telling me how to read a chart. He's like, red, green. Red, you stay on this side of red and this side on green. So yeah, I made it to the Florida Keys, and then that was when my transformation happened, and I realized, oh my gosh, the only reason I did this is because I was trying to. It was just it was one of like 50 things in my life over the first 47 years that I tried to prove that I was worthy, and most of those things caused me harm rather than good.
Yeah, that's so interesting because as an adult, I, you wouldn't know that. Like, my dad did this and this is why I'm that way. So when a person makes a decision, they're like, okay, I don't know, do people feel like, did you know that that was from what happened as a child, or did you have to research? Like, what was your moment? You said that was the thing, but how did you relate that back? How does someone go back?
So I had no idea. I wasn't searching for help. The negative things that happened in my life were five business mistakes that cost my partner and I $9 million between 2003 and 2017. Two marriages that didn't work. Two kids with anxiety. Not great relationships with my kids at the time. The use of weed and alcohol. I just thought, look, everyone uses weed and alcohol. I picked two bad wives. I just justified everything. So I wasn't actively looking for help. I thought I loved myself. I
Yeah.
thought I thought I had a great. I mean, you saw me for years on the internet. Like I've got my shit together. I've got a successful company. Everyone knew Express Home Buyers. We weren't one of the tops. We got involved in the We Buy Houses lawsuit, which was another thing about trying to prove my worth that cost me $2 million. So I wasn't even looking. I thought everything was fine in my world, right? It was trying to get my son help for anxiety that I was on a call like this with a performance coach. And she said, you blink like crazy when you talk about your childhood. You may have unresolved childhood trauma that's affecting your son's anxiety. And I'm like, no way. No, I'm the greatest dad. I'm a single dad. I do everything for my son. But I was like, sure, I'll try anything. And I went out there, and in the course of a weekend, really a 3 hour session with this guy, my life forever changed. And what did we do? We went back to my childhood, and we went back to the times where there was stressful times. I had control taken from me. There was some type of trauma. And we figured out the stories that I told myself. And the stories I told myself was something's wrong with me. I'm not enough. And then
Wow.
I quickly realized, was that the truth? Or was that my perception of it? And was it really my dad and his issues? And it was. And at that point in time, oh my gosh, I became free and I could become myself. And that's when my life has radically changed in these last 3 years.
That's so amazing. And there are so many. I mean, I'm 65 now. So I have so many friends that now talk about things that happened to them as a child. Like really a shocking amount of people that I know were molested and like really heavy things. And
Yeah.
I found out something about my aunt and I was like, "Oh my God, like what kind of family do I come from?" The people I don't know. I assume a lot of people like you, younger, 20s and 30s. I mean, I was married twice before Bill. I did my fair share of champagne and cocaine, like a lot of it in my 20s. And I didn't even settle down until I became a mom. I was like, oh, I can't be doing that. I'm gonna raise this baby over here. That I know a lot of people that are my age that are trying to reflect back now and try to figure things out. So I know that that's what you do, happiness and freedom coach. So if a person found you and they said, "Hey, Brad, I need help," what would be like an action that you could tell them, like, "Okay, take this one." Like, I want you to give us like an applicable action that someone listening could start here. Not with you
Yes.
necessarily, but like, here's the thing that I could do today
To figure it out.
to see what I need to do.
Yeah. So I've got a shirt on that says the only diet that works is self-love. And I did not make that up. I stole it from Jenny Craig. That's her saying. And I'm going to divert a little bit. I'm going to come back to your question. Everyone has known people that's lost a bunch of weight and put it all back on.
Yes.
And they blame themselves usually. They're like, I'm too lazy or I can't stick with a program. No, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with your lack of self-love from these childhood programming issues that we're talking about. So a couple years ago, I created a self-love quiz for probably me, my old version of myself, because if I was listening to this, I would have been the guy saying, I have high self esteem. I don't care what other people think, and I love myself. So if you go to bradchandler.com/quiz and you spend 3 minutes of your life taking these 12 questions or multiple choice, you just click a button and you get back a result, you're either going to get back extreme self love, mild self love, or lack of self love. If you score mild self love or lack of self love, Dwan, it's an indication that likely every area of your life to some degree is negatively affected. That doesn't mean you look at those results and say, oh, my life sucks, woe is me. Just the opposite. Look at it from the standpoint that, oh my gosh, if I lack self love, this is the reason that I can trace to every single problem I have in my life. And if I just do whether you work with me or not, it doesn't matter. But know that there is a better option than going to therapy for 30 years like I did. In 3 to 5 hours, 3 hours, I had my breakthrough. And now with my clients, it's usually between hour 3 and 5. So go take that quiz right now, and you're going to know if you have an issue with this childhood programming based on the results.
I believe it. I mean, when I married Bill, he had 2 kids, so we became 5. All 3 of my kids are millennials, and they're all into I go to counseling, I read these books, I'm healing my childhood trauma, and all my kids do that. And when the first one did, I was like, I gave you no trauma. And I immediately felt responsible. And I thought, no, wait, it's not my responsibility. Whatever they feel, whatever happened, whatever. So I encourage all 3 of them. But it's just interesting how the younger generation, first of all, sadly, is triggered by literally every single thing on the face of the earth, which is ridiculous. And, they're all like, oh my God, as a child. And I get it. I know that that makes us who we are. But I think a lot of people use like, I'm triggered by what you said to me. It's like, seriously, grow a backbone. But I do believe people have a lot of childhood trauma. I had all kinds of shit happen in my childhood. And we do have that, and people don't know how to start. They just start reading books.
Well, on that note, like you said, you're not responsible for your child's, issues. If you lack self love as a parent, there is no way that means that you feel you're not enough to some degree. How can you teach your child how to feel enough if you don't feel enough? So this isn't to cast blame on you or me, because I was in the same boat. We did the absolute best we could do with our childhood. But now
Yeah,
that I have a different awareness, my relationship with my 2 kids is so different than it was 3 years ago, because I'm coming at it from a completely different place. And every relationship I have is different. The
yep.
relationship I have with my girlfriend is different than it would have been 3 years ago, because now I see myself in the world through a completely different lens.
I think that's so neat. I feel like everybody. It's funny, after you and I talked in the car, Bill was in the car with me, and after we hung up, he and I talked for a while, and he was like, Bill's a hot mess. And he was like, I have no childhood trauma. And I was like, dude, I could name like 5 things that you do on the daily that relate back to you being your dad. Nah, and he just like he's the kind of guy. I still think that in his mind, he thinks counseling or help is like for other people. But we start doing it's like a couples Bible study, working through things, and we started doing that together. And I tell you, it's made such a big difference for both of us. And I'm like, dude, all of us have something. All of us, like I have my dad too. My dad was the switch or the belt. My grandma was go pick your switch off the tree.
Oh,
It's like I feel like the picking of the switch should be the punishment. You
yeah.
don't need to get hit with it. You stand there for 20 minutes trying to find one that's not too big, not too small. It's like that right there. That should be the punishment.
Oh,
Once you pick it off, that should be the end of the road right there.
well, you and Bill should go after the talk and go take the self-love quiz and tell him the answer honestly and see what you score. But back to hitting a child. Think about this. What is the responsibility, or what should a mother or father do for their child? They should see them, they should hear them, they should understand them, and they should protect them. When you hit a child, you are inflicting physical harm and shame on that kid.
Yeah.
How do you think the kid's going to react? Probably like I did. Why is this why am I getting hit? Because I'm bad. No, you're
Yep.
not bad. You're not bad. You kids only misbehave for one reason. They lack connection with a parent. And if you put them in timeout or you hit them, all you're doing is further disconnecting them from yourself and from them. So
I'm
yeah,
writing that down. I like that. They lack a connection with the parent.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the only reason kids misbehave. Like kicking the dog or hitting the sister or yelling, whatever it is, acting out. It's because they don't feel a connection. They feel bad and they're just trying to, they want love. They're calling for love and attention. And what most parents do, including myself, I never hit my kids, but I would put them in timeout. And it's just not good. And someone's going to hear this and be like, oh, time. One of my mentors has a guy that had major problems at 35 years old because his parents would put him in timeout and close the door in his room for 5 to 10 minutes. And when you're 6 and 7 years old, you don't understand time. So this little boy thought, I don't know if they're ever coming back. I might die in here.
Now I I don't mean to laugh. Kids don't know time. My
No.
grandson is 4. So he's learning days, like what he thinks. So he'll be like, Mimi, Pappy, I'm coming to your house in 4 days and I'm staying for 3 days. He'll call the next day. I'm coming in 3 days. And I'm like, does he understand what a day is? But when he gets there, he's like, I'm staying for 10 days. And then like he has to call him 2 days later. That's not 10. So he's trying to learn time, but he's just so cute right now because everything has to have a time on it. When you're gonna meet, when you're gonna eat, when you're gonna do it, he has everything has to have a time for him, and it's so cute because I never met like a little kid like that who's like so
So
focused
cute.
on time. But you're right, kids don't know time out. You put them in time out. I mean, when especially when they're little, 10 minutes can seem like it's the next day.
Yeah,
They don't
and
know.
on Bill, I've seen you guys interact, and you look like you have a lot of love.
We
But I'm
do.
here to tell you, as good as your relationship is, the problem with relationships is never the actual relationship. It's always the relationship each person has with themselves. So you've already told me some trauma that you had. You got hit. You've told me that he had trauma. So if you guys haven't fully processed this, if you were to say, hey, I'm going to fully process this stuff, you guys have a good relationship or great that will go to a whole nother level because you can open up and be vulnerable and share stuff that you may still to this day not feel completely comfortable based on your beliefs from your childhood.
Yeah, no, yeah, we actually should do that. After that whole last couple of years with the stem cell transplant, we had a lot of days, just the two of us, living in like this special housing. And we had a lot of time just to talk about everything. I think I learned more about him in that year than I have in the whole 22 years that we were married because we had
Wow.
nothing but time.
Wow.
Like nothing but
What a
time.
blessing.
You know what we tell people? I know it sounds so weird because, he had a stem cell bone marrow transplant because he had a really rare blood cancer, then there's no cure. So it's like, well, you can take these pills and, maybe you like will live 2 to 3 years. Because basically your body makes these giant red blood cells, like, and they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then they can't pass through your arteries, and then your bone marrow can't absorb them. So you die. Or you can have this super risky, crazy bone marrow transplant, and we'll take you to death's door. We'll give you 5 million new stem cells, and you go for it. And we always tell people, as weird as it sounds, that was the best year of our marriage because it
Yeah.
was just us. It was so good. And so we were reading. Well, he didn't read much. I was always reading to him, or we were talking, or we were praying, or reading the Bible, but with no any, just us all the time. We talked more than we have talked the whole marriage. It was really interesting. And everyone's like, "Oh my God, how could that be a good year? That was awful what you guys went through." I said, "No, we made the decision to make it fun and make it interesting, and we educated ourselves, and we talked about things, and we read, and we did Bible studies, and we did this stuff." And we tell everyone, like, I know it's hard to believe, but that's the best year we ever had. Are you enjoying this episode? make sure you don't miss a single solitary episode. Click subscribe, like, follow, all the things so you'll get notifications whenever time a new show comes out. And let your friends know about it too. It's amazing. All right, so if you want to learn more about real estate investing, just reach out to dwanderful.com. I'll send you some free stuff. Back to the show.
So I said what a blessing earlier, and I live my life that everything happens for me.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. Like there's a reason for everything, right? In my hands, I'm holding two books, one called The Way of Miracles and one called The Myth of Normal. These are two really, really smart people that have collectively helped tens of thousands of people over the last 40 years. These two books, the basis of these books are that unprocessed childhood trauma causes pretty much every health thing on the planet. So if you don't deal with your SHIT, nature deals with it because the stress eventually forces you to deal with it. So I know it strikes a chord with someone that because these guys believe that
What's the white book called?
It's called The Way of Miracles, and it's also a documentary on Gaia. It's phenomenal. And then The Myth of Normal by Dr. Gabor Mate is if you have stress in your life, stress is a major, major cause of cancer and MS and depression, anxiety, pretty much everything. So this guy says, like I said, you either fix your stuff or nature fixes it through death, or they fix it through illness. So a lot of people, just like you are, have looked at this as a blessing. I got to spend this time with my husband. We are now closer than ever before. Other people see it that this was caused by my stress. So now I'm going to go back and do the work to change my life. Life is just so beautiful.
No, it really is. I mean, everyone, even his sister, brother, they're all like, this was the worst year ever worrying about Bill. And I was like, we loved it. We had fun. I think part of it too, Brad, is like we lived in a special place and like nobody came over, nobody was in. Bill was tired, didn't want to talk a lot. So it was just always us. And we had so much like uninterrupted time. And in our daily, just, ebbs and flows of life, we don't have that much just completely uninterrupted time all the time. And this whole process was long. It's like coming up next week is just 2 years. And so, at the end of a year, you're sort of set free a little bit, and then 2 years, and and then after that, you're like, go live and be happy. And we really just made really good use of our time, and we really loved it.
Good
And
for you.
everybody's like, I can't believe you love that. I said, well, obviously I was worried about him. I mean, I don't want the man to die. I'm his full-time caretaker. It's like, I don't want that on me, and I don't want him to die. I want him to live. But I don't know.
You made the best of a situation that could have been really bad. And you shared with me a couple of days ago on the phone that you actually quit some organization because all they wanted to talk about was disease and negativity. And you're like,
oh,
no,
God.
we're not going to talk about the what could bad happen. We're going to talk about getting right. And I believe that's why he's alive and why you guys are thriving.
I do. I'm telling you that Facebook group, after the first time, like the first 10 posts I read, I was like, dang, all everyone talks about is how bad they feel, how many times they threw up, like just all these things, graft versus host, there's all this stuff. And I was like, holy cow. I said, I don't know if we can do this or not. They were like, you know what? We're getting rid of that. No negative words. We're reading nothing negative. I don't even think we watched the news. I told the kids, like, listen, if the world's, getting ready to blow up, text me. Stayed off the news, nothing.
Have you stayed off the news since then?
Mostly. I watch a little bit every day just to make sure that, we're not getting.
Stop doing it because there's nothing you can do. One of the greatest things I've done for my happiness, other than doing the work, is I used to be a news buff. I watched the news before I went to work in the morning. I'd watch 10 o'clock news. It is so detrimental for you. They've actually done studies that show that people that watch the news have a higher likelihood of anxiety and depression because all it is negative. And you know what? I don't know what the hell's going on in the world, and there's nothing I can do about it. So why do I need to know about mass shootings? And it doesn't affect me. And therefore, I'm going to live in my happy bubble and forget the news. Let the news be the news.
Now, I have to agree. I don't ever watch anything in the morning Bill always likes to watch it a little bit. He's a Fox News guy. I know, I want to watch it. I'm just like, oh, please. But I don't like it. I'm like, dude, just anything. Put on a Hallmark movie. Let's just talk. Anything. Put on some music, like anything.
Yes.
I don't like to watch the news. But we started watching more movies, listening to more music, and now it's like we listen to music all the time. We're dancing in the house in the middle of the day. It's like this is so much better.
That's
I
awesome.
honestly don't think all that wouldn't happen had he not had that illness like that. It was crazy.
There you go. Everything happens for you, not to
And I
you.
just you gotta help me come up with a new slogan. I told you, I said, Bill and I are like, we're 65, we're still alive. Like, woo! So we gotta come up. But like to us, it's funny. And it's not funny, but more like an inside joke. Because from February till March is the only time of the year that we're the same age. And then, he's a year older. And so when I had my birthday, he's like, oh, we're 65, we're still alive. And I said, that is true. And the last couple of years have really been some, but we got to come up with something a little catchier so other people don't think like you're still alive. What do you mean? You're fine.
Yeah.
I'm like
Something
65, ready to thrive.
There you go.
Something like that.
Much, much better.
I have I do every year. I don't know. It's a weird thing I've always done. I would have a slogan for every year.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
when I turned 60, I was like 60, sexy, and sassy. So I just every year I have and that's kind of like my mental mantra to myself. So I think we'll do like 65 and ready to thrive. It's got to match. I got to come up with something that rhymes. I don't know. So it's just a weird thing I always do.
65 and ready to thrive. I mean, that's awesome.
65 ready to thrive. So yeah, and I remember when 63 was all this happening, I was like 63 and feeling free. And then even though we weren't free, we're like, no, you know what? We're free to live and do this the way we want to do it. So technically we're free. So yeah,
65 and we thrive.
and we thrive. There you go. 65 and we thrive. Yeah. So always gotta have like a little beat. I don't know, it's a weird thing. I do. Bill and I both do it. So that's funny. So if people are, because I know you've been in real estate and stuff as well. So people that are, and you said that you made how many mistakes that cost you like $9 million?
5 mistakes. Yeah. No, we're going to flip hopefully close to 300 houses this year.
Wow, 300. Good for you. 300, that's no joke.
That's our goal. We did 223 last year, 253 the year before, and we're heading to 300 this year.
Nice. So do you have a company that wholesales houses
Wholesales and fix and flips. Yep.
across the country?
So we do it across the country. I'd say 95% of the deals are in DC, Maryland, Virginia, and then we've started to do some in Southern California. And then sporadically, like we got a house under contract in Florida, and we'll do one in Illinois, or just sporadically.
So do you feel like obviously your success is due to the fact that you're so smart and so cute and adorable, like how could you not be successful? But you've also worked through a lot of things. Do you feel like a lot of people that are in business or have the big mistakes, do you feel like that is stuff that goes all the way back to childhood?
I have a theory. This is interesting. I got a lot of theories. Trauma affects people radically different. The same type of trauma can affect people radically different. So I believe that top athletes, if you look at Tom Brady and Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods, the
Yeah.
reason they got to be so good is because they felt so bad about themselves and they had to prove something.
Hmm.
So there's that angle, and then there's the angle of, yes, I've got to prove something like myself, but I'm also so reckless because I needed so bad to prove something that I made mistakes. And then you have the third theory where if you look at the IQs of like a middle level manager at like a Walmart compared to a Fortune 500 CEO, they're not that different. So those, and I'm not like putting down Walmart, I'm just using like or
No,
just
I get
take a
it.
blue collar job, right? The person working a blue collar job is really not that less intelligent than if you look at it on a scale. So why is it they don't make a lot of money? Because their limiting belief was, I don't deserve it. Me, or the Fortune 500 CEO, was, I have no alternative. I've got to make a bunch of money to prove my worth or I'm going to die. So it just affects, but to answer your question, yes, I think a lot of entrepreneurs get in business because they think if I can make $5 million, I'll be happy and worthy. And I'm here to tell you it'll never be that way, because look at Matthew Perry and Michael Jackson and all those princes of the world. The trick is, I can teach you how today to get the state that you're after 10 years down the road with $10 million. And then when you get that state today, you are far more likely to make the $10 million, because you're doing it for the reasons of making an impact and doing something you love, rather than like me with real estate. I never care. I thought I liked real estate. I don't care about real estate. I was put on this planet to help people stop their suffering and thrive and become free, right? So because of that, now I have an insatiable appetite, and all I'm going to do for hopefully the next 60 years of my life is become better and better at what I do.
I love it.
And by the way, the money is going to come. I'll probably make more money in this business than I did in real estate, but it was the first business in my life that I started where I never thought about money. All I thought about was, how many people can I help? How many lives can I change? Because I no longer had to prove anything to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I started teaching when I did, because I was here in Florida, in Palm Beach County, and I did those first couple of houses. On the first couple of houses, you know, I was going through a divorce. I got a kid. I'm just like, I need to make some money. I want to work for myself. So, but after I did a few, I started to realize, I thought, well, I can only help one single person at a time. But if I taught a few people how to do it, and I do 10 deals and they do 10 and they do 10 and they do 10, we could help more people. So really, and I really, when I first started teaching, I didn't really know enough to teach. I knew enough to talk to you about wholesaling and how to fix up a house, and that's all I knew. But I taught that, and I was like, hey, listen, there's thousands and thousands of people, and I know how they felt, because that happened to me when I went through my divorce. Lost my house, my car, like, all the stuff, but I got the baby, and that's really all that matters. And so that was kind of my initial reason for wanting to teach. Is like, well, if I can teach other people how to do what I'm doing, we can help more people. That's why I always say our motto is people before profits. Because if you just help people, the
Yes.
money comes.
Yes.
It's the
But it's
people that focus on the money, just so money hungry. I feel like those are the most unhappy people.
But it's really, really hard to focus on people when your brain's telling you you're no good and you believe that money is your way out. For me, I believe at 10 years old, when my dad stopped paying when he moved out, my mom said at one point in time, we may lose this house, and we may have to move into public housing. Well, she was a nurse and she had taken me to this public housing, and I just knew there was shootings there. So I think my 10-year-old brain said, oh my
Wow.
God, if you run out of money, you die. And so I thought, oh my gosh, I've always got to have money. And I was in a CEO organization about 15 years ago, and someone was like, do you think that's why you bought so many houses? And I was like, oh my gosh, I never thought. My subconscious mind probably said, you almost died because you lost your house. So you better go have 100, you better go buy a bunch of houses. And at any given time I don't have, we've divested of all of them now. We probably own, just the houses we're fixing and flipping. But at one point in time, we had over 100 houses. It was probably my brain trying to protect me. This is what, here's the crux of everything in everyone's life. Whatever symptom that you're dealing with, whether you have a shitty marriage or you eat too much, you drink too much, you have anxiety, depression, those are all actually solutions to your problem, because you think that there's something that's worse that you're trying to avoid, that you don't want to face. So you do the thing. So once you find out that this thing that you think is worse, so why does someone drink day after day after day when they know it's destroying their body? Because they're trying not to face this thing over here that they think is worse. Once we do the work and you figure out this thing, not only is it not worse, but it was made up when you were a child to protect yourself.
Mhm.
When that goes away, then guess what? The drinking goes away. So
Mm.
that's the magic formula. So everyone who's suffering right now, that's listening to this, thinking, I eat too much, I drink too much, this anxiety, this depression, you don't have a disorder. Your brain is doing exactly what it thinks it should be doing, because it's taking you from pain to pleasure. It thinks there's something actually worse, but that thing isn't really worse. And when you figure that out, your brain automatically says, wait, I can't hold two conflicting thoughts. This doesn't make sense. Oh my gosh, I've been living this way all these years the wrong way. This isn't
Wow.
me.
Now it's brilliant. I'm so excited for when this podcast comes out. I'm going to tell everyone, like, listen, y'all got to listen to Brad. There's just so many people. I know that have all those issues. And I know it's because people just don't want to, and it is true. I think one of the reasons I made so much money right away is I'd been fired from Denny's. My husband left. I lost my house and my car, and I had the baby. And I was like, I don't want that to happen again. So I better make a bunch of money over here to make sure I'm safe. And I think now that we're talking, I think subconsciously, my fear of all of that happening again is what made me go crazy on this side of the fence.
Yeah, our fears drive everything. And the people that it's not, so some people are scared to face their issues, which
Mhm.
they shouldn't be, because it's not a hard of a process as you think. Other people have tried certain things, but they've gone to traditional therapy. In traditional therapy, God love them, they try their best, and some of them are phenomenal and some of them get success. But what they do is they focus on the symptoms in the conscious mind. The thought that you're trying to avoid is hidden. It's buried in your subconscious mind. And the magic is you got to get to your subconscious mind. So I use hypnosis, which is nothing more than a deep, relaxed state, to ask your brain, because your subconscious brain knows the source of your problems. So we just ask it, what's the cause of this depression? And we go back to that place. So whatever you're dealing with, it's not your fault. And there is a better way that doesn't take, like, 20 years or 30 years in my case of therapy.
I know, I know. I always encourage people like just dig in, find out. I mean, I'm sure I've got you and I should do some sessions together. I feel like you could really help me uncover. I feel like I've unearthed most of my stuff, but you never know.
Yeah, it hides.
I think we're always growing, we're always growing, we're always changing. There's always things happening. There's always new things coming on. So we're gonna skip topics for a minute and we're gonna jump complete topics. Tell me your favorite band of all time.
Oh, wow. Um, I mean, I could sit here for 5 minutes, but I think if I had to listen to probably George Strait.
George Strait, King George.
I saw him in concert a couple months ago with Chris Stapleton at the Tampa Bay Arena. It was pretty epic.
Yeah, I love George Strait. He has what does he have? Like 55 number one hits or something.
A
And
lot.
every album he puts out, it's just number one the day it comes out. He's
He's
great.
special.
That's Bill's favorite country person is George Strait. He is good. He's an amazing. Did you maybe or not know? Taylor Swift used to open for him.
Oh, wow. No, I didn't.
She used to open for George Strait. So I saw an interview one time, him and her, and something we just watched a few weeks ago where they were doing like some kind of a tribute and she sang one of his songs. And I was like, wow, Taylor Swift used to open for George Strait. Imagine that. She was so nervous meeting George Strait. And now he's probably like, dang, girl, you went dominated the whole world. I like country there. You know who I like? I just discovered is Jelly Roll.
Oh, I love them too. Yeah, that deep, raspy voice. I
Yeah.
love it.
I'm like so in love with him right now. I listen to that music all the time. I just literally just discovered it. We have tickets to a thing he's doing in our little town in Iowa this summer. And of course, being part of the downtown, I've got some VIP tickets. And people are like, you want to get rid of your tickets? It's like, hell no, I'm not gonna meet Jelly Roll, man.
Nice.
No, and it's like it's not really the kind of music I Well, I'm more like a blues girl, but that's like my favorite person right now. What's your favorite food?
Probably filet mignon.
Ah, there you go. I love it. And what's your favorite time of the day? Like out of the whole day from waking up to going to sleep, do you have a piece of time that's like your favorite part of your day?
I just love crawling in the bed at night and reading a book on again the science of the brain, trauma, psychology. Just freaking love it. I got a therapeutic Tempur-Pedic bed recently, and it adjusts and put it in zero gravity. Look, I just cherish every part of the day. But that if you pin me down, yeah, I'm gonna go with that. That's my final answer.
Final answer. It's funny because I ask everybody that. Well, not everyone. Since I started, I try to switch up my questions every few months. But since I started asking people that, I am a night person too. Bill and I really look forward to going to bed. Like we get in the bed together and we're just like, it's quiet. And we talk, and 90% of people are like, oh, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I love the morning, and I'm just like, Golly, I love the end. I like the nighttime. I like getting into bed. I put on my heated blanket. I adjust the head and the feet. I get all snuggled in. It's like, this is the best part of the whole day. So there's not very many of us that say that. Most everyone like, oh, I like that 5 to 6 a.m. It's like, dude, I am sleeping.
Yeah, snuggle time is great.
Sorry, that is not for me. I'm like that. So now, what is your biggest goal that you're working on right now, and how can we at Wonderful? How can we help you?
So I turned 50 last year, and I'm manifesting that I'm going to live to be 110. And my goal is to help 1 million people get the gift that I was given. And that's to find freedom and happiness by reconnecting with themselves and getting rid of these limiting beliefs that are buried in their subconscious mind.
Okay, so folks, we have to help this man reach his goals. Turn 50. You look fantastic for 50, by the way. I'm sure you know that. And
Thank
you
you.
want to live to be 110. I'm like, I'm all for living to be 110 as long as I'm healthy. And we want to help 1 million people. So everyone at Wonderful, we put things to prayer. We help you reach your goal. And I would love to be a tiny little piece of helping you reach that goal. And that, by
Thank you.
the way, is a beautiful goal.
Thank you. Yeah,
Okay.
I came back from this transformation. I looked around, I saw the people suffering. I was like, "Oh my gosh, they're suffering for the same reason I was, and now I know how I can help them, and I got to do it." And that's all I've been doing for the last 3 years is helping people.
I love it. I love it. I think that is a beautiful goal. And I'm all about trying to help you out. So again, people find you at bradchandler.com/contact.
Contact. Yep, and check out my podcast How to Be Happier for Entrepreneurs. If you love this type of stuff, you're going to love the podcast.
How to be happy for entrepreneurs. And I am so excited I get to be a guest on that show. So you're
Yes.
definitely going to want to watch it for no other reason because I'm on there.
Yes.
And we'll have fun over there too. All right, last thing is I want you to give us a parting word of wisdom, but just one word.
Love.
Okay, so all my wonderful people know that whatever the word is that you give us, that is our word of the week is love. But what does it mean to you?
Well, I don't know if your hyphenated word counts. I really wanted to say self love. That's what it means. It is all if the quicker that you can understand that you have all the happiness you ever needed to have inside you and that there's nothing wrong with you, that you are always enough, you always will be enough. When you can have that self love, your relationships, your health, your finances, everything will change.
Okay, I love it. So we'll take self-love, we'll count the hyphen and we'll make it one word.
Love it.
Because people always want to like give me this law. I'm like, no, 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 no. We just want a word. We want a word that we can all pray and meditate on this week. So self-love. And I love what you say about that. And I could not agree with you more. I could not agree more. So first I want to thank you so much for being on the show today. It's been so much fun talking and just reconnecting with you. And I'm really looking forward to this episode coming out. Everyone's gonna love it. And all of you, if you had fun today, if you laughed, if you learned anything, I always ask you to do me a favor. And I want you to subscribe. I want you to leave me a 5-star review. I want you to write something nice and follow me on all my socials. And if you would like to watch this video when it comes out, it will be on my YouTube channel. It's in the show notes, but it's Wonderful Real Estate. So some of you like to listen when you're running and doing things. Some people like to sit down and watch. I mean, Brad, look how cute we are. How could they not want to watch us?
I know.
So you got to watch it over at my YouTube channel. And this is one you're going to want to watch. You're definitely going to want to watch this. So thank you again, everyone. Have a great week. We'll be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. And remember that the truth is in the red letter. All right. Thank you, Brad. Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody. Ciao. You just had a taste of the most wonderful real estate podcast ever. So just one more thing before you go. If you laughed, if you learned something, please leave a 5-star review. Don't be a gatekeeper. Share it with everyone that you know. And I'll see you back here next week for the most wonderful real estate podcast ever.